This the War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space, now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the War Report After Dark. Going a little old school Evolution. Couldn't think of anything else. It's been a long time. And one of the greatest theme songs, I think, ever in the history. So, welcome everybody to another edition. I want to get right into it because we do have a lot to cover. And the biggest topic currently, not that it's funny, and I don't mean to laugh, but it's just, I do and I don't.
Like, it's crazy. Like, why are we
so fucked up that we're even going to have this conversation? But we are having an annual, what we're supposed to be having an annual big pay-per-view, I believe, Night of Champions in Saudi this Saturday. We have production crew apparently stuck at the Qatar airport because there is a no-fly zone currently, and yet everything I'm hearing is that the Saudi government is saying that as of now, things are going as planned. I don't know how I don't know how this works. Like how do you get, if the airspace is shut down, how do you get them there? So I don't know what they do. I mean,
it'd be crazy if the Iran war is a work from WWE.
No, Vince isn't in charge anymore. that would have had Vince McMahon written all over it.
It's CM. People were saying online it was CM Punk calling in the airstrikes so he doesn't have to go to Saudi Arabia.
I mean, but this is kind of like, to CM Punk's point, like, this kind of backs up kind of part of the reason why he doesn't want to go. So, but all jokes aside, this is kind of a serious thing, because I have a feeling the set and everything is already there. So it's not even like you can do a Hail Mary quick change of venue. I assume either they figure out a way how this goes, or they have to postpone and reschedule this show.
Performance Center.
That was what people have been saying.
Performance Center.
I mean, yes, technically, but boy, would that take away from some of the matches that are you know, yeah. The crowd size will be a lot less, and I mean, I think at this point, from a safety standpoint, at a minimum, you postpone this pay-per-view. I mean, do you really want to take the chance of risking all the talent to go there? You know, there's technically a ceasefire, but we all know how these typically go, and it doesn't sound like the ceasefire is going to stay a ceasefire very long. So I think you have to make that call. I also want to point out there was no mention of it at all on Raw last night, other than the pay-per-view is still happening. So they are mentally going as scheduled. I guess it'll be a last-minute call. I just don't know how they do it. Tara's with us. She says hello. She was just going to say she loved the Evolution song and they should scrap the pay-per-view. I don't think they should scrap it, but I do think you might want to consider rescheduling this pay-per-view.
Right. So the other thing they were saying, like, this was pretty cool. Filthy Tom Lawler on Figure 4 Online with Brian Alvarez. or Wrestling Observer Radio, whatever they're calling it, made the suggestion that they could bring it over to International Fight Week in Las Vegas because UFC is holding a big week-long International Fight Week event. But he mentioned the problem with that is because they're running so many events, the UFC has already booked all of the venues you could potentially have to run this event, this event. Aside from maybe like the Eye, I don't know if they're doing something inside that big Eye, the circle, but yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot of options for these guys, unfortunately.
I got an idea, man. Rollways Rec Center is pretty prestigious for holding great events. So bring it to Rollway Rec Center, bro. We'll show you a party.
The only problem with that is the size of the venue.
Well, yeah, we can't do fireworks. That might be a problem.
Well, it's not, and that does take away, right, from a big, quote unquote pay-per-view. Well, the presentation is a part of all the pyro and everything, but that's like saying move it to the Westchester County Center. I love shows at the Westchester County Center because every seat is close. Every seat is a great seat. It doesn't seat all that many. So to have a pay-per-view there, it just takes away. It would bring us back to the feel of like COVID times where they had to do it.
Steve, question. ECW. How many people did that place hold?
That's also a small arena.
Could you name me a rowdier crowd than an ECW? 500 strong, whatever, how many they could fit in there.
I can't argue that point at all.
Right.
I mean, the Philly ECW fans are incredible fans. My point is, I'm not so much speaking about the rowdiness of the crowd. I think anywhere that they get the show, they're going to be, rowdy crowds. So to speak.
Right, yeah.
Some places are better than others. It's just the size itself.
I just think at this point is a loss for them because, look, you're putting your staff and your superstars and some of them that go themselves at risk, right? And families and so forth. So I think, like, if I'm creative, I'm literally thinking, you know what? The polar opposite. Let's make this a home 1990s show. Like, because we can't do anything else. All big places are taken, and you can't resell every ticket in the next 72 hours or however many hours we have left. So it might be a little tough. So I think you think outside the box. You do something different. You give the fucking tickets away. You have people tune in on Netflix or Peacock or on Peacock, and you just get a great view, and you just change the whole atmosphere of the match. I just feel that's the only way they'll be able to capitalize on a bad straw per se.
But you have to remember too that you're also talking about a company like TKO, who is not going to take such a loss. You know what I mean? This Saudi show brings in millions of dollars of revenue for this one show.
Oh,
right.
So they're not going to take a complete hit and give away tickets. I just don't see that happening. But I also think if you reschedule it, you're not really losing anything.
No.
Because you're still going to do the show. But maybe let's do it when things are a little calmer and you're not putting people at risk.
Well, why not move it to like a crazy place like in Europe, like someplace in England, like or Scotland? Those crowd are fucking great.
Yeah, but we're talking about all of this as if the show's a month or two out. It's this weekend.
Right. That's the other thing. And they're very limited on time. Today's Tuesday, right? So you've got 3 days, really. You have to have already started looking to see what's available.
It's Wednesday in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
That's the problem. They're real close. There's so many things with this contract with the Saudi government that they have, and it's all big money contracts. And it's. I
do forget they're a day ahead too.
They're if not like a full day, but probably like 12 hours ahead, 8 hours. A long ways ahead of us for sure. It's probably like, morning
like they're
time
on their way to work already.
Right? Yeah, it's like their morning commute time right now. So it's just I don't know how outside of, like you said, Al, moving it to the Performance Center because that's always open, or like Full Sail University, or is I don't even know if the PC is still Full Sail, but you know what I mean, like somewhere like that, soundstage. Maybe they could get the Atlanta soundstage that TBS used to use. I don't know. There's really it's a limited number of options, and they have to exercise them now. Like, they should have done it. They didn't mention it on Monday at all, obviously because they hadn't made a decision, but they should have made a decision by Monday to say, hey, guys, we moved it to Philly. We moved it to Florida. We did whatever. Or make an announcement. We're sticking with it. Because right now, we're not the only podcast talking about this, and we're not the only wrestling fans talking about this.
It's the number one topic all over social media is the show going to happen? And anything and everything I've heard is that as of right now, they are saying it's a go. Dave Abbey, welcome back over from YouTube. Saudi is paying them $50 million for 2 nights plus attendance and merch. TKO isn't going to walk away from that. There have been TKO employees in Saudi for about 2 weeks. So I don't know where he's getting that information, but that sounds right to me. $50 million for 2 nights. I mean, that sounds right. And plus all the merch and everything else. And they have that massive superstore like it's Mania and SummerSlam and one of the big four. They fucking rack it in, man. So, I don't. So on one hand, I agree with Dave. It's like they're not walking away from that. The other hand is, if the airspace is shut down, how the fuck do you get them there? So,
well, remember, tribute to the troops, they'd get all those guys in a big travel jet from the big cargo jets from the military and fly them over. Maybe they recreate that moment and get one of those big camouflaged jets and fly everybody's asses over that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, big heck. TKO is $3 billion in debt. $50 million isn't being left on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they'd make all that money back if they hired you again, heck.
That's true.
If they hired us, listen, you've listened to me on this podcast for so long, and we're all chopping up and tossing around these ideas. Take any one of us, throw us into the writer's room, we would get shit, back together pretty quickly.
But see, and again, it goes back to what I was saying. I don't see TKO walking away from it. I also don't see how this show actually goes right now. And love you too, Big Heck. If you want to come on, let me know. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, man.
You know, you're always more than welcome. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out and what plan B they have or what they're working on trying to come up with.
Plan B, yeah. The funny thing is, though, when we talk about Plan Bs, how many times has WWE taken something unexpected that happens in real life and taken it to TV, changed stuff, and it becomes, and as I say that, look who pops up behind me, Cody and Roman.
Right.
Rock came out, did that whole thing, thought they were going to switch up the whole Mania main event, and then the crowd reaction happened, and they went back to the original plan, and there we go.
Dave Abbey, that being said, Cross is scheduled for his first PLE since 2022, so it will probably be canceled.
I want to laugh. I really want to laugh because that's hilarious. Dave's
but he's not wrong. That's what makes it funny. And Dave, listen, I agree, and it sucks, but he's getting over. So maybe they'll do something. I know his contract's coming up, but maybe they're doing it. It's going to come down to this match with Sammy, and I think he's going to be more over than Sammy in this match. So if he can really, but they gotta let him just be Killer Cross. But his merch is selling. That new T-shirt with the hand and it's fucking awesome. Great shirt.
I like the design. Like a lot of the times you see a shirt and you're like, can I wear that out somewhere that's not a wrestling show and feel comfortable? And a lot of times you're like, no, that shit's just a corny shirt for a wrestling show. That one you could kind of wear in public and get away with, and it looks cool. It's a good design. Yeah, I like it.
Oh, you're right. It's not in Saudi.
What's not in Saudi?
The match with the
match with Sammy.
Is it on Saturday night's main event?
Okay, what if you know how
I don't remember.
You know how Cross is like this master manipulator guy?
Yeah.
What if at the last minute they need to cancel the pay-per-view and the storyline is that Carrie and Cross canceled all their flights? It's It's something.
That'd be pretty good.
Oh, Dave's right too. Sammy's way too over in Saudi. That's true.
Yeah, I had a question about that. Do you guys think he's going over Cross?
Cross.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I want to say yes, to be honest, but there are a lot of hints that have been getting dropped recently, like just little things that are said, and it's almost like planting seeds. Like the fact that Randy Orton said, without a doubt, you are going to be world champion, just not now. Like, they're planting seeds. And what better place for him to win? I think he could lose to Karrion now, but the Royal Rumble is supposed to be in Saudi this year.
Right.
And I could see Sammy winning the Royal Rumble in Saudi. And then he gets his Mania moment and he becomes champion.
You could definitely see him winning in Saudi. That's
Oh, yeah. The crowd will just go absolutely apeshit.
Yeah.
I mean, they do anyway, but could you imagine Saudi?
Yeah, but could you imagine Mansoor winning instead? Imagine the reaction that Mansoor would get.
Mansoor.
He's killing it in AEW. They have that MXM doing the exact same gimmick. They just changed the name a little bit, and it's the same shit. It's gold. It's like the Fashion Police, but updated.
Dave Abbey says that there's rumors of a Sammy Cross tag team. I can get into that.
I think that would have to start with Cross beating Sammy, and I think the match not being in Saudi helps Cross's case for winning. And Sammy losing to Cross could make Sammy think, hey, maybe my philosophy's wrong, and maybe Cross is worth listening to. They tag team for a little while, and then eventually, like Jake the Snake, you never trust a snake. Cross turns on him, you get the big blow off or whatever. But yeah, I could definitely see them working together for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, like they get mutual respect after the match or, something.
Something, yeah.
We'll see how it goes. But anyway, moving on. We'll obviously stay tuned, and we'll all find out,
we'll all find out together.
We'll all find out together what's going on with this pay-per-view and what they're going to do. And listen, hopefully it's safe enough for them to go, and then we get our pay-per-view, but we'll have to see. But moving on, I want to talk a little SmackDown first. Because SmackDown, I've been enjoying SmackDown more than Raw lately. Even though it's been the longer show. But it started off with LA Knight coming out to a huge pop, cut a great promo, interrupted by Paul Heyman. Heyman, of course, doing Heyman things and just being great, and cuts his great promo and kind of just tells LA Knight he really suggests that he, get the hell out of there and leave the building, or it's going to get bad for you. And, obviously that led to it not being good for him, and we'll get into that. But you had a whole thing going on with LA Knight. And then, of course, all the build to the R-Truth match throughout the entire show was great. I have some questions about R-Truth.
Okay.
So he's supposed to be Ron Killings now, but they keep calling him R-Truth. He's responding to R-Truth. So then I was thinking, well, it's going to be kind of like a split personality kind of deal, but now it seems like it's more R-Truth than it is Ron Killings. Although he wrestles more like Ron Killings, I do like how he's not wrapping himself down to the ring anymore. It's just the music. I like the look, obviously. And this is nothing against R-Truth, because I love everything they're doing with him, and I love the aggressive side of him, and, that kind of thing. It's just kind of weird to me. It's like, well, are we recognizing him now as Ron Killings, or are we recognizing him as R-Truth? So it's just something small, but it's, No,
I'm there with you, because I think I fan response online as I usually do. I'm in the Reddit threads and all that stuff, just trying to. We do a show, so I want to stay informed, and I don't just want it to be our opinions. I want it to be like, what is the broader response from people? So they picked up on this right away, maybe like a week or two ago, that commentary was still calling him R-Truth. There's a lot of references to R-Truth. Nothing official has came out Dave Abbey's hilarious. I can't comment on that right now, but Dave, we'll get to you. Oh my God. Uh, but fans caught onto it, and the rationale that they're trying to come up with right now is that R-Truth, the name R-Truth, and the gimmick of like that is what sold the shirts and sold the merch and got him over, was being that guy. So to just change it outright and change the whole name and then change the gimmick to more serious, maybe they're hedging and coming back on it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like coming back to more R-Truth stuff to just make the link for people so that they continue buying the merch. I really don't know.
Yeah, it just seems a little weird to me. But I do love what they're doing with him. The whole show was the build-up to the main event with John Cena. I thought R-Truth looked great in that match with John Cena. And then, of course, it ended abruptly and fairly quickly with Cena being a heel, with the belt shot, getting DQ'd, which led to CM Punk coming in to save R-Truth, which then led to John Cena putting CM Punk through a table, and then getting a John Cena pipe bomb.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to get everyone's thoughts on John Cena's version of the cut and paste promo that CM Punk gave however many years ago, and just put his spin on it. I got to tell you, personally, I loved it. I just loved even how the crowd started cheering, and he was just like, see, they know. Like, I thought it was great. I liked the promo. People were then asking why he called out those certain 3 names. There have been some interesting theories, one of which was the first initials. Like he was referring to
Matt and Nick Jackson.
And then Cabana.
Oh, CC, Claudio Castagnoli, Colt Cabana.
Right.
Could be. And there's also history between Punk and a lot of those guys, because Punk was pro Cesaro for a long time, and he never really got the push he deserved. And then those other 2 guys are like one that John Cena kind of buried in Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, and the other one in another guy that kind of got buried along the way, maybe by Punk, maybe by other people, was Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth.
Apparently Cardona had an indie show right after, like a day or 2 afterwards, and he jumped on the top turnbuckle, sat down, grabbed a mic, looked in the camera, and says, "Hey, John."
That's fantastic.
Great.
Yeah, it was great. But I loved everything about that promo. I thought it was great, and it got me excited because now I can't wait to hear what CM Punk's response is. I mean, this is what we've waited for, right? Two amazing talents on the microphone. So this is what we've been waiting for, you know. So Punk has to really come through now with an incredible retort to this pipe bomb. Right. But I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought the one thing that was distracting for me is this new everything has to have a fucking sponsor thing. So while John Cena is cutting...
Can I tell you, the sponsor on the table is driving me nuts.
That's what I'm saying.
Why. But
this
like,
whole thing...
it's enough already. You got it covered all over the fucking ring. I mean, now it's a Slim Jim table.
Terrible.
Like, what the fuck are we doing?
That was what I was getting to, is that this whole promo, which was like 12 minutes long, CM Punk got put through a table, hitting the balls, all that stuff, but he's laying on the Slim Jim table. So every time they cut to that shot, you just see 2 Slim Jim logos, and it bothers me. Hey, David, I haven't met Trish. You know what's funny though is
I have twice.
Oh, you're a very lucky man. See, I was in New York Saturday performing at the Broadway Comedy Club, and just down the street, not really, but there was Fanatics Fest, and Trish was in town. One of my friends who went to Fanatics Fest did actually meet Trish this weekend, and I saw another person who was walking around Brooklyn and just ran into Mick Foley on the sidewalk. So, like, there was a ton of wrestling representation in New York this weekend at Fanatics Fest.
Yeah, they were all over the city. I had the pleasure of meeting Trish actually 3 times.
Oh, wow.
I worked 2 shows with her. One of those 2 shows was a part of the Trish and Lita tour, so Lita was there also.
Oh, wow.
And I pretty much spent the day with them because we were working the same show. That was 2 shows. and then I met Trish again. I was invited one year to go to the Hall of Fame for the Alley Club, and she was being inducted.
Wow!
So
That's very cool.
I got to see her again there,
Very
and
awesome.
I met her son, and her husband was there too. Yeah,
That's very cool, man. Yeah, she's. From everything I've heard, she's great.
she's a sweetheart. She really is. Anything you've ever heard positive is true. Lisa also.
Yeah, and
really
price wise too, Trish was a little more expensive. Like Chelsea Green had probably the most reasonably priced autograph I heard at like $50. Trish was like 75, which understandable. And
That's high.
but then you get up to like Cody and shit. They're charging like $300-$400 an autograph for the big name main event guys. It's fucking crazy.
That's
That
insane.
is crazy. That is insane.
And it's not like a package. You know what I mean? Like, remember the back in the day, it was like, okay, it's $50 for this, $25 for this. But if you paid for 100 or 150, you get a package of bum bum bum. Individual items were like $200-$300 to get signed. The photo op was $400.
And what's crazy even more than that, you literally, when you're paying that kind of money, you're literally getting 5 to 7, maybe 10 seconds with them.
Right, seconds,
Like
not
you're
minutes.
right, because they got to keep the line moving. So you're spending all that for what you could get a day in an amusement park. For 10 seconds, where you
Right.
get to say, "Oh my God, what was your favorite match ever?" and that's it, while they're signing your shit, and then you move it on. So, that's the thing that sucks. But these items that they're getting signed years down the line might actually be worth something. They're going to make some money on it. So in that case, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, but I'm just, dude. I'm one of the people who was very fortunate that like I met Cody while he was still on the Indies, so
Right.
the autographs were not. First of all, I mean, I didn't pay for shit when I worked the Indies, but like even when he was out there, he was charging very reasonable prices. And I understand now he's a much bigger deal, and it's a Fanatics Fest, so Fanatics gets a piece and WWE gets a piece. But like,
Yeah, but you know what
damn,
though?
dude.
Even when Cody was in AEW, he was still doing indie stuff. Like he was still doing
Yeah.
Northeast Wrestling stuff, and his photo package was not expensive.
no,
And he was a big name in it. I mean, he was one of the founding fathers, right? So
Right.
he's a big
Oh, yeah.
name. So I mean, he wasn't WWE status, but I mean, big enough where he could have asked for that kind of money, and he didn't.
oh yeah, oh he definitely could have, because a lot of guys go in and they charge way more because they have a name, and you can charge at a certain point. Hogan, Bret Hart, Goldberg, whatever, they're Stone Cold, whatever, you could charge that. But man, I would have a hard time. I would love to go to that Fanatics Fest, but first of all, you got to pay admission to get in, and then you have to pay to meet every single person, and that's just not it for me.
$400 a goddamn autograph for 10 seconds is insane, and it's crazy that many people line up and do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do it for that. Mark Hamill, it was the same. Mark Hamill was at Fanatics Fest. It was $400 for the meet and greet for him, and you got like one picture. And then if you wanted anything else, it was another $200-$300. It's crazy.
And the place is so packed.
Oh, dude, they had so much cool shit there. Because if you were we all saw it on social media. They had that big entrance ramp, and you could go and you probably had to pay for it, but like you could make your own entrance, and like people were doing costumes, like cosplay, and then coming down as like Solo and stuff. And then Tom Brady made an entrance, James Harden made an entrance. They had legit, outside of wrestling.
Eli Manning attacked
Eli jumped.
attacked
Tom Brady,
Brady.
that
Oh, it
great.
was so great. Brady made this whole entrance, and then out of nowhere, like that time Seth Rollins got, was it Seth Rollins jumped Alistair, or Alistair jumped Seth Rollins, and boom, out of nowhere, and just all of a sudden, Manning out of nowhere.
Dave Abbey, do you know what you can get in New York City for $400?
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah, that's true too. So overall, I thought SmackDown was pretty solid. I think the Wyatt Six may be winning the tag team titles,
I think that's coming.
which I'm okay with. Also, going back to Fanatics for a minute, there was an interview with Alexa Bliss. She was taking, I think it was a Q&A, and a fan asked her, "Will you ever join the Wyatt Six?" And she said she didn't say no. She actually said she would love to be a part of it. and we'll see what happens down the road, kind of thing. So, just saying.
It didn't make me very confident, though. The answer was like, I'll still carry a piece of Bray with me, even if I'm not in the group, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, yeah, but everybody wants you in the group. That's the point.
Yeah, but I think even if she knows that it's happening, she can't really lead on to the fact that it's happening.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She's not like Cody Rhodes, who just goes, hey, guys, I'm almost at the end of my babyface run. We'll get into that, too.
I'll believe it when I see it.
He's a liar. He lies all the time.
Of course he's a liar. I don't see him turning heel. It's not happening. He doesn't like to be a heel.
Well, almost done could also mean another year, for all you know.
Dave Abbey, they're misusing her horribly right now. I assume you're referring to Alexa Bliss.
You can put any female wrestler in there and be correct, though.
True. I think they just don't know what to do with her yet. I do think she's going to start losing, and that's what's going to lead her to the Wyatt Six, or something's going to happen.
Well,
because they're obviously building something with her and Charlotte. So,
right. and she's being like, hey, we were friends back in like NXT in 2014. So I almost feel like she's trying to find. She's been away so long, she needs a friend, and she's trying to go back to somebody who she used to be friends with. And I think the friendship maybe they'll start, and I don't think it's going to work out. The point being, I feel like eventually she's going to learn that Charlotte is not her friend.
She'll always have friends, though, in the Wyatt Six.
Exactly. So as soon as Charlotte turns on her,
just let her in. Just let her
in. There it is.
Just let her in. That's all I want. I want my little Miss Bliss back.
Everybody does, dude.
I know. Asuka. Big return. She's on fire. Extra face paint, which I love. And now they're setting up her versus Jade Cargill, which worries me a little, although I have to say Jade has gotten so much better. But I'm curious to see how that match is going to play out. But I do think Asuka goes over, and you're going to get Asuka versus Io, which that match I will get excited to see. And then on the men's side, we're finally getting the match that we've been waiting for in Cody versus Randy Orton. So that's exciting. I just hope it's not a one and done. Maybe this is what turns Randy heel.
I've been trying to think about this because, first of all, I was thinking, regardless of Asuka being in the main event for the finals, rather, I was like, Jade's winning this thing. I think Jade is winning the women's side of this Queen of the Ring, rather. And my other kind of musing or wondering is that Cody just had to face Jay in a babyface versus babyface matchup. Now we've got him facing Randy in a babyface versus babyface matchup. Who does the crowd side with in this match?
I think the crowd is the same as it was between Cody and Jay. They're going to cheer for both of them. I mean, they're both very, very over. So I think you're going to get a similar. And can I just say, because it's amazing the amount of hate Jey Uso gets. People shitting on his wrestling. We know tons of people that talk shit about him. And there was a reel from our show last week where people are just shitting all over Jay. His match with Cody Rhodes last night was fucking great. So I don't know where all the hate comes from. I really don't. I mean, he's over as hell. The crowd loves him. He's one of your top merch sellers. He is good in the ring. I don't care what anyone says. So what are we talking about? Numbers don't lie. I don't know.
They spell disaster for Samoa Joe.
Bro, there's always going to be haters, no matter what you do in life. No matter how much you're loved. So that's just an example of that.
I also think, and again, this is just comments that I've seen, and I wanted to kind of see what your guys' take on it, because Steve's been very pro Jey Uso. Not that he shouldn't be. I'm just saying, he's one of the guys that's on the Jey side. Dave Abbey saying he'd take Jey all day over Cody. That's what I'm getting at, is that, they put him up against Cena, who was a heel, but he was cheered. They're putting him up against Jey, who was a babyface. They're putting him up against Randy, who's a babyface. Are they eventually just going to put him up against the babyface where people go, okay, fuck it, we're booing Cody and we're cheering this guy? But Jey, the hate that Jey gets, some of it people explain by saying he has good Raw matches and bad pay-per-view matches. And I just wanted to see what your take on that was.
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, it's sometimes it takes two to tango, first of all. Right? True. So you can't put it all on one person. One person could, fuck up and botch more than the other. I mean, it happens. But I don't agree with that. I don't. And the thing is with a superstar, right? In the world of WWE, he's what you would consider a total package. His presentation is great. His experience is great. Like, people want to go to a live show so they can fucking yeet with him. It's an experience. The whole thing is an experience to be a part of that crowd and feel the yeet fest and watch fucking McAfee bouncing off the announce table with the crowd, and then the crowd asking for a rerun, and he rolls it back and does it again, like the whole thing. And then his in-ring work is not bad.
Right.
And he's entertaining. So what are we talking about?
He checks all the boxes on what you would like in a superstar, yet people hate on him.
I think it's because he's just. It's another guy like Cena who was just fine in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, he was just fine.
But he's on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore, so
I get it. Like, I understand, but I'm just telling you the counter arguments here, that are being made, is that the other one that I saw, and this is a real interesting one that I kind of want to throw to you guys. If Jimmy got the yeet gimmick, would he be a main eventer right now? Would Jimmy have progressed in the same way that Jey did during this whole yeet run? You know what I mean? Like, is that...
Now, that's a very interesting question.
Well, I kind of brought it up last week. I think we talked about this.
I was going to say, you said it. I've seen.
He's the one. Yeah, he's the one that got the right gimmick. I think if Jimmy would have started yeeting, he would have been just as good. Because even in the boat, I don't know if you saw the Stephanie McMahon interview, they were saying that Jimmy's the funniest, most charismatic one out of all of them. So I think he would have made it work.
But does the music make the wrestler? Does the wrestler make the music?
I think in this scenario, the music made the wrestler.
Okay.
If you take the yeet away from Jey, what is Jey?
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying. This is the trouble I'm running into. And it's not just because they're twins. It's because of this whole, like you're saying, Steve, does the entrance and the gimmick make the wrestler, or does the wrestler who embodies all of that gimmick make it all work?
Like, I'm not trying to compare the two, but who else could have been the Undertaker? In my opinion, there's nobody I could have ever seen play the Undertaker other than Mark Calloway. You know what I mean? And again, not trying to compare the two, but it's the first thing that came to mind. Maybe because I just watched LFG Season 2, which was great, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but Dave Abbey, Jimmy doesn't seem to have the same energy. And that I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, if he was given the gimmick, would he show the energy?
Because his name is Big Jim, and he has to make something out of being called Big Jim.
That's like Big Bill. And I love Big Bill. He does his
brother's yeet. Like, that's what he has to do right now to get a pop. He does his brother's yeet. It's pathetic.
It has been 2 or 3 years. Every time somebody says yeet, I still think of Skeet from Lil Jon. And I cannot get it. Like, when you're like, the whole crowd's yeeting, and I'm like, oh, that means a different thing in my world.
That's true. I didn't even say that.
And you were like, I want to yeet along with Jay. And I'm like, no, you don't want to do no. Let's not.
We don't want Jim doing that kind of yeet either.
I wish Jim, because I like both of those guys as a team, and I like them both individually. And it just sucks to see Jay having all this success. And Jimmy, who I thought did a fantastic job through that entire bloodline. So they both did, but I thought Jimmy really did a good job.
I think they both did great.
And it's just it's unfortunate that he didn't find this, he didn't unlock the thing that Jay unlocked. And maybe he will down the line, but it's just now
they also didn't put him in situations like they did with Jay to get over.
Right.
As a single star, but it looks like they're starting to cook something with him because he did come out to save Jacob Fatu. So maybe they put Jimmy with Jacob. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? So that could be interesting. Jacob didn't necessarily seem thrilled that Jimmy was there, but that doesn't mean that doesn't turn into something. They are family, so,
Yeah. As Dominic Toretto says, family's the most important thing. Or was that Lilo and Stitch? I don't know. They both kind of said they had the same message.
That's funny. So, a lot of good things are brewing. There's just too many shows.
And, AEW's got their big all-in pay-per-view coming up in Texas.
Yes.
Over 18,500 tickets sold. They're thinking the estimates between like 22 and 25,000 people will be there by, once everything is all told and all the tickets are sold. About 25K in a baseball stadium. And TNA hasn't done that. New Japan hasn't done that. You know what I mean? In the U.S., nobody's done this scale of a show except for WWE and WCW, and WCW's out of business. So it's real cool to see they're doing better now, because I know the post CM Punk slump that they have, but now they've kind of gone all in, so to speak, on their young talents. Hangman appears to be winning. Swerve and Ospreay are getting featured. You're running back Okada and Omega. There's a lot of cool things happening in AEW too. So like, it's good to see as we're going through this summer storyline season, where like usually, WWE, I don't want to say dips, but like it dips a little bit in this time of year, because then the big deal is SummerSlam. But because this show is in Saudi Arabia, they had to make, was it Money in the Bank, a big show. So here we are. What is it? It's not Money in the Bank. What is it? Is it Crown Jewel? What is it this weekend?
Night of Champions.
Night of Champions. I knew it was one of those things. But because it's a Saudi show, they had to make it a little bit bigger, which I think is cool. So now you've got a big show, and AEW's got a big show next weekend. I mean, this is...
And I think SmackDown, is supposed to be from Riyadh, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, SmackDown's from Riyadh, which is another thing. If you have to make a decision on whether or not you're canceling Saturday's pay-per-view, are you canceling Friday SmackDown and rescheduling it? Like, this is a whole... There's layers to all of the problems that are going on.
Dave Abbey, Tony and Mercedes should be the main event, but they're going to make it Hangman versus Moxley.
Yes.
You can't argue that.
I mean, Tony Storm has been on a run of legendary promos this last year and a half or so.
Oh, they're so good.
Absolutely.
I mean, she came out this week, and she was dressed like Carmen Sandiego, and she said something about Mercedes Moné, you're messing with the wrong motherfucker. And it's just like, with her accent and the whole thing, I'm just like, that's incredible.
She's amazing.
And I agree about that, but in terms of like the prestige of the match, but I also think that the story of the Death Riders and Jon Moxley holding onto this title, putting it in a briefcase, you haven't seen the title, in almost a year since Bryan Danielson lost it to Moxley. He's kept it in this briefcase. And, Hangman's been coming out to his bad guy heel music since he turned heel, but now he's turning back babyface. So I think the whole moment of the AEW army, including like Darby Allin, maybe Sting, whoever they need to rally the troops to fight off the Death Riders, Swerve and Ospreay, all those guys. So they fight the Death Riders, and then Hangman ends up one-on-one with Moxley and wins. You get his old babyface music. You get him opening the briefcase and pulling the title out for the first time, and the confetti and all that shit. And I think that's how I'm hoping this pay-per-view ends, because if it just ends with Hangman getting choked the fuck out, I think there's going to be a fucking riot.
So, question: why? I don't really watch AEW. I should start actually. Why does he have that? Why does he have it in a briefcase? Is there a reason for it?
So the initial reason from everything, and this is not official, this is just from me watching and paying attention to everything. This all started around the same time Tony Khan had a meeting with Shane McMahon. And when Moxley won the title, he said, something is coming to AEW. You're all not ready for what's coming, and I want to prepare you. So I'm taking away everything you love. You have to beat me. You have to be the best you can be to beat me and the Death Riders, to earn this championship back and have it worthy of being this title being back. So at the same time, the Young Bucks went off of TV. So what I believe the original storyline was, Shane had like a verbal agreement with Tony. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? This is all my speculation. Him and Tony talked. Shane was going to come in as the bankroll guy of the Elite. And bad guy heel Moxley, when he finally loses the title to Hangman or whoever, Shane would be revealed as the higher power of the Elite. And Moxley, who was a bad guy for this last year, is suddenly a babyface going, see what I'm saying? I told you this was coming. I knew I called it. I was telling you weren't ready for what was coming, and you're literally not ready, because then Shane McMahon comes in with his invasion and the whole thing. But Shane wanted too much. He asked too much. He wanted stake in the company. He wanted creative control, all this happy horse shit, and they had to pivot. So then he's no longer talking about there's like a storm coming, there's something unexpected coming. He's pivoted in the last like 6-8 months to AEW has gotten soft. The wrestlers play video games and hang out, and they're all friends. Nobody wants to train. Nobody wants to really fight and get bloody, blah, blah, blah. I'm the most violent. I'm the most whatever. I'm the best in the company. And, it just comes down to, I don't think anybody in AEW is worthy of the championship, and you have to prove me wrong. And that's where we are now.
So the next man up is Hangman Page.
Right. And we all kind of thought there was a point where it was going to be Will Ospreay, and I think it came right down to the line to the pay-per-view, whether or not Ospreay or Hangman was going to win this tournament, the Owen tournament. They went with Hangman, which it shocked me, but also makes sense, because what's happened with Hangman was he lost the world title to Punk, and since then he kind of got lost as a babyface. He turned heel and did that whole thing with Swerve where he burned Swerve's house down. Because what happened was Hangman lost a spark after he lost that Punk feud. The fans were kind of like, all right, we know what Hangman's all about. We got to ditch this. So Hangman was a babyface against Swerve. Swerve broke into Hangman's house. He left a T-shirt in the crib and cut a promo in front of the crib of Hangman's baby, all this stuff. Like he did. Swerve showed up at Nick Wayne's house with a picture of Nick Wayne's dead dad and beat him up and bloodied him and wiped the blood off of his face with the picture of his dead dad. Like just nasty shit Swerve was doing. But because he was so fucking cool when he did it, people started cheering him. So they were cheering Swerve, the objectively bad guy who broke into a house, over Hangman, and it drove Hangman insane in storyline. And then eventually Hangman burned Swerve's house down, and they flip-flopped. And then Hangman was a heel, Swerve was a babyface. They had all those great matches, including that cage match that was absolutely brutal. And since then, this has been a tale of Hangman's been a bad guy so long, the crowd wants him to be a good guy, and the crowd has slowly been turning him back babyface, and now they are fully behind him being the guy to take down Moxley. Oh, and yes, Swerve and Hangman, even though now they're both baby faces, they still hate each other, which absolutely makes sense. But Hangman is trying to be like, hey, I'm growing. I understood I made mistakes. He's apologized to Swerve. Not that burning somebody's house down, you can just apologize, be like, my bad, bro. But Hangman's trying to make amends. Ospreay is trying to negotiate between the two guys and is getting caught in the middle.
I did catch an episode of that.
Yeah, dude. And both guys are like, I refuse to work with the point being they both refuse to work with each other, and Ospreay's like, hey, we all have to be in this together because the Death Riders are always out there to interfere in these matches. So I think Swerve is going to have to make a decision to help Hangman when he doesn't really want to. Hangman, I believe, just helped Swerve out a week or two ago. So like it would be like, pay, I owe you one, but also like, okay, we're finally cool. We've squashed this beef. I don't know. Swerve, maybe you deserve this. This is what I'm saying. They're both of the characters are growing. They started off as, I will always hate this guy and I will never forgive him and I'll never work with him. And now they're slowly getting together. Darby returning and Swerve backing up Hangman are going to be the two important pieces of getting the Death Riders out of the way in this match so that Hangman can have a clean shot at Moxley.
Right.
I'm so glad we get to talk about AEW. I watch it every single week and we never get to talk about it.
I got to start watching it, man. I really like what they do over there. It's just I've been busy as hell.
Oh, they have great talent over there.
The good thing is it's on Max. And, you can always DVR it and skip through some stuff. I
DVR it. I just never get to it because I have so many other shit I watch. And I was like, you know what? I already watched 2 wrestling shows.
Right.
Let me watch
so
something
you don't need
else.
it. Right.
I mean, that's really it's a lot of wrestling during the week. I mean, you've got Raw, right? You've got NXT. You have Collision. You have Dynamite. You have LFG now. If you watch that's wrestling.
Right.
You have Saturday night's main events now, and you have all these pay-per-views, and I mean it's a lot of wrestling. And then for those of you that get the channel that TNA's on, you got TNA. And TNA's popular again because now of the crossovers. Right. So I mean, it's overload. Dave Abbey, how crazy would it be if it was Ospreay that turns on Hangman and joins Moxley?
This is why I've reconfigured my room and moved the camera closer. I need you to look, Dave Abbey, look at me. I need you to look in my eyes right now, buddy. Don't put that voodoo on us. If that shit happens, thank you. If that shit happens, and Ospreay turns on Hangman and Moxley wins at All In, I don't know where you live, but I will find out. And I'm not saying I'm going to burn down your house like Hangman did, but I'm not saying I'm not going to do it either. Okay, so just. Please, I'm going to have to go burn sage or something after this, or talk to a Ouija board to make sure that you just didn't put a curse on this fucking show. Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
You got it. I think the one that's going to play the biggest role in the whole thing is going to be the AEW flag-bearing Darby Allin.
And he made it back at the end of May, back to the United States, and I'm sure.
Where's he at now? Is he not on TV?
No, he's been.
He was busy climbing Mount Everest.
He was
right?
Legitimately climbed. He made it, and they made it back down, and he left Tibet or wherever it is at the end of May. So he's probably just back home acclimating. Like, you have to reacclimate to the climate and breathing at atmosphere again and all that stuff. So he's probably just laying low for a little while. He probably couldn't wrestle if he wanted to. But he was also then up on the mountain doing kick flips and this is the only person in the world to bring a skateboard to Mount Everest and do kick flips at one of the campsites. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's a little nuts.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
Already bringing us to the top of the hour. Is there anything else that we wanted to cover before we took it home?
Yes, one thing.
Oh, here we go.
Over.
All right, listen.
Gunther's promo got me excited for the match. Goldberg did nothing for me.
Yeah, well, and I also
they shouldn't have even bleeped the best part of the promo, which is Bill saying, "I'm gonna fucking kill Gunther," but they bleeped it out.
They bleeped it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Well,
because it was a pre-taped interview.
Netflix was bleeping a lot of shit out. Even crowd noise.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But here's my theory on it. And I know this was almost a decade ago. But there was a time where Goldberg and Brock Lesnar were having a WrestleMania match. And everybody thought the match was going to be dog shit. And it was 5 minutes long. They just ran headfirst at each other like two, 18-wheeler trucks just colliding head on. There were just spears, jackhammers, and F5s. And that was the only thing that happened in the match. So if Worst case scenario, a couple spears from both of them, a power bomb or two from Gunther, a tease of a jackhammer. Gunther reverses it into a choke, and we're home in 3 or 4 minutes. Like, that's pretty much what I'm hoping for.
I still think Goldberg is going over, and Rollins is cashing right in.
Goldberg is 60 years old.
But he's losing immediately.
I understand that, but I don't know. I think Gunther should still win. Maybe he taunts Goldberg afterward. Goldberg spears him, and
then
Rollins cashes in.
That's possible.
Because I don't like an Al. Considering what Al started the conversation with. Tell me, Al, how would you feel if 60-year-old, regardless of what Seth Rollins does 2 minutes later, how would you feel about 60-year-old Goldberg, who's going to be off TV in 2 weeks, beating Gunther, who has to be there every week, getting reminded by the crowd that he fucking lost to Goldberg? Let me know,
Al. Fuck Goldberg.
Tell us how you really feel.
If they're cashing in after it for the drama, wouldn't mind it. That's the only reason, but it would have to be some way, somehow, interference from Rollins himself costing Gunther the match. That way you can have that rivalry right away, and Gunther could be chasing Rollins for the briefcase.
So Rollins and his crew interfere so that Goldberg wins, so they can immediately cash in on him. I don't
beat the bricks out of his old ass. Yes. I love it.
He did flat out say it's his last match, but that doesn't mean that he won't win.
Yeah, let him go out with I think I have it perfectly. First, you do the fucking the spear
for Braun Breaker.
You do Braun Breaker with 2 fucking tsunamis. I mean, you do what's his
Bronson
name?
Reed.
Bronson Reed with 2 tsunamis, and then while he tried to get up, Rollins just fucking curb stomps him, and that's the end of his career.
If 60-year-old Goldberg can take any of those moves, let's do it. I am not confident, just based on him walking to the ring and needing to lean on the turnbuckles to cut a promo. I'm not confident that he can wrestle a match.
He'll be laying on the floor for most of this shit. So.
That's true. After the spear, he pretty much just has to stay on the ground. So
yeah.
Maybe it'll work. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm concerned, because I'm not concerned about, it's not Israel and Palestine. How much concern can I have about a Gunther Goldberg match in the grand scheme of things? But there is always that small chance that Goldberg is the new world champion, and that is what worries me.
Yeah, but even if it happens, it's lasting.
It's for 2 days, right?
Or I don't even think it's going to last that long. I think it's an immediate cash-in.
I'm saying 2 days because worst case, if there isn't a cash-in, the cash-in is happening Monday night when he's giving his goodbye speech.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, yeah, he's I'm giving this belt up, blah, 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 and...
Yeah, they gave him his flowers, no, you're not, bitch. Come here.
Well, we will see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the top of the hour.
Yes, we are. Just so, as I finish up here, when is that Goldberg match? Is that 2 weeks from now?
That's at Saturday night's main event.
Correct.
Which is when?
Do we know? On Saturday night.
I understand that, but so is the...
I know that they're doing that, and then that Sunday's Evolution.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But I don't have the exact dates.
Yeah, I'm trying to... I don't know.
It could be the week after fucking Saudi or 2 weeks after that. It's not going to be nowhere further.
July
It might
the
be
12th.
2 weeks after because we don't have nothing in the month of July because of SummerSlam.
Yeah, it's July the 12th. In Atlanta, Georgia, of course. So, all right, cool. So, we can all just be moderately concerned until July the 12th or 13th, and then we'll know how to feel.
True.
And that's it. We'll pack it up here. Steve, hit that music while I tell everybody where they can find us. Of course, you're looking for the War Report After Dark. Good choice of music. I love that. Yeah, dude. So we're on social media at Tag Me a Date. That's Twitter, and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. It's at Tag Me a Date. Just put that into your search on Facebook. Hit the thumbs up button when you see the page. On YouTube, you hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notified when we go live. On Twitter, you just hit the follow, or X, whatever you want to call it. Same on Instagram, you just hit the follow. And then on TikTok, our username's a little different. On TikTok, look for The War Report Podcast. And we post short clips there. We post short clips on Instagram. And it tells you what we talked about in the week prior, leading up to next week's show. We broadcast every week live on Facebook and YouTube. Again, if you just go to Tag Me a Date on either Facebook or YouTube in the search bar, you will find us. The same if you want the audio version instead of the video version. These are, of course, live streams, but once the show goes off the air, Ryan takes the audio and uploads it to your favorite podcast app, whether it's Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify. We get a lot of love on SoundCloud, so thank you guys if you're listening on SoundCloud. Google Play Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, the whole deal. Just type in the War Report type in the War Report, type in Tag Me a Date, hit that on your podcast search. You'll see the logo that's in the top right corner of the screen that says the War Report After Dark. You'll see our names in the description, and you'll know it's our podcast based on all that stuff. Hit the subscribe button, and the audio version of the podcast will just be automatically delivered to your tablet or to your cell phone, so you can take the audio version with you, whether you're driving or grocery shopping or whatever it is that you're doing to listen to podcasts to, doing homework, whatever, man. Just listen to the show. Of course, thank you, everybody in the comments. Dave, Tara, David, and was just seeing Nature Boy's in here. Nature Boy always pops in at the end of the show, so I want to say hi to Nature Boy. I hope you aren't just seeing the last 2 minutes of our show and then you have to go back and listen to the whole thing. If that's the case, I just want you and everybody else to know we go live 9 p.m. Eastern time every single Tuesday, whether you like it or not. So we're going to be back right here, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're watching on Facebook. We'll be right back here 9 p.m. Eastern time next Tuesday for another edition of the War Report After Dark. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Untouchable, but I'm forcing you to feel me. Word life. This is basic thugonomics. Word life.